smoke, preaching about the world like it's some kind of joke. Says he loves peace, but his tongue cuts deep, keeps folks awake when they trying to sleep. 1 second smiling, next he's throwing flames, talking so wild they forgot his name. He got the mind-stained blues, Lord, can't you see? Every word he speaks spill misery. Folks don't argue, they just refuse. They walk away from that mind-stained blues. He got the mind-stained blues, oh yes, it's true. Every time he talks, something foul comes through. Got a mouth full of facts that don't hold no weight. Spits like he's wise, but he's preaching hate. Claims he's a healer, claims he's woke, but his love's just a cruel man's joke. Joy to rage like a rattlesnake strike, talking about peace while he picks a fight. He got the mind-stained blues, can't wash it off. Every word he spilled just makes folks scoff. Folks don't listen, they pay no dues. They done tuned out them mind-stained blues. Yeah, he got the mind-stained blues and it sticks like glue. The more he talks, the less sounds true. Mirror full of lies, dressed up like grace, painted smile on a weathered face. But you scratch that mask and what you find is thorns in a crown and a crooked mind. Talks about sinners, but he sins the same. Blaming the fire, but he feeds the flame. Every word's a trap, every smile's a blade, and folks walk off when the dues get paid. Ain't no reasoning, ain't no peace, just a river of noise that never ceases. He got the mind-stained blues soaked down deep. Ain't no prayer gonna help him sleep. Folks just sigh, they've had their cues. Ain't no fixing them mind-stained blues. Yeah, he got the mind-stained blues, and we all knew that every word he speaks just turns the sky untrue. So if you see him coming, don't catch his eye, or you'll wear them stains till the day you die. Oh man, here we go again, we're going to create change. Make it happen this time. Let's go, always good vibes.
Yep.
Get out of the open.
Got it Friday,
I can
brother.
feel that it's going to be a good day, a great day. Let's go, always good
everybody.
vibes.
Welcome to Nine Time. Appreciate y'all being here. 11 to 1, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Always good vibes. We appreciate y'all being here. My name is Guy.
I'm Shine.
Appreciate y'all being here, man. Today's one of those topics that I feel like for us, Shine, it's worthy of our little platforms to be able to just talk about it in our way, recognize not only the man from you as a person that was able to know be able to follow him a little more than I did, but from my standpoint, just looking at it from a common person that's a person from which I know a public figure, man, the whole idea of the way some of these people jeered and cheered and went on with this fella, it was sickening.
Yeah.
It was sickening. And I hope that there's a way that somehow, by us calling it out, others calling it out, other people saying, yo, this ain't, nah, man, we don't celebrate that kind of crap. I hope that maybe somehow that we can somehow affect some type of change somehow, man.
Well, absolutely. For something like this to happen, and I mean, like you said, I have followed him pretty much since the beginning of when he started doing his going around to different campuses and having debates. And I thought, what a fantastic idea. You got to remember, this is quite a few years ago now when he started. So it was when the climate was quite hot with a lot of language changing and what words you can say, what words you can't say. And he was out challenging these ideas and kind of forewarning people, which is a bizarre way that his life ended, forewarning of exactly ultimately what happened to him if we stop discussing and we continue on this campaign of division. And absolutely, the people that are celebrating it, and like we were saying before we started the show, a lot of these people, like, I mean, everyone can have their opinion, but these public figures, these big networks going around saying some of the things that they're saying, it's just beyond appalling. And I do know for a fact if it was said about the other side, you'd be in a lot more heat, I guess is the way I'd put it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And man, it's gotten to a point now where you feel like that it's obvious that the desensitization of each other by name calling and by boxing people up into groups in which maybe they do deserve there, maybe they don't deserve there. That's the thing, is it's not for you, but doing that to each other, it's like we've created an environment in which that people are numb to what just really happened.
Yeah.
Guys, there was some young kids, college students. They're kids in my eyes these days. I have children that's almost the same age.
Mm-hmm.
You have young kids there that whether they look up to this person or don't look up to this person, they're there with their eyeballs on this person. They're watching this individual. You got cameras all around.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this man lose his life on TV that's got kids, a mama, a wife, family, friends,
Young
blah, blah,
daughter,
blah.
yeah.
Young,
Unreal.
and somehow there's any way, no matter what side you stand on,
Yeah.
there should be no way that you find anything comical about that. There was
No.
nothing funny about it. There was nothing won. There was that's the sickening part. As a common on the outside, just kind of looking at the situation, like, yo, I didn't really know the man all that well. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of people all that well, and I can think of a lot of them I don't want to see that happen to. That I
No.
probably, in my heart, I don't think I really care for them, like as like what they do and the kind of like
Yeah.
stuff. But as a person, I'm like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see nothing like that happen.
No, like I can't. There's nobody that comes to mind where I could think you deserve something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, except for like, you know what I mean? Maybe some really heinous crimes or something like that. That's
Maybe
the
the
only.
person that committed the crime.
That's
that.
right. You
Maybe
know what
they
I
should
mean?
get the same.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of,
this is what I'm getting at, because like, you know, there was a couple things I found strange too, because I watched a pile of stuff on this yesterday, and then again this morning. And you know, the one thing I find strange, and like it just kind of came together while we're talking here, you know, you had all of these people that were at this event, and they don't even have like the FBI is on it now, right? And they don't even have a clear picture. The one picture that they do have, they can't identify this individual. And it's like, this is the same story we've been hearing over and over and over again with the attempts on Trump, even, right? Like, oh, we can't get into the phone. We can't identify this person. And then the story just fizzles out and it goes away. And I truly hope that that's not something that happens in this situation.
I know that they, as of this morning,
Yep.
they did. They have the fella in custody,
They
and
do have one.
oh
Good.
yeah, and
Good.
it was the way I understand the circumstances was that it was through somebody recognized him through
The
what
photo.
had happened or whatever,
Good.
and then it was a preacher man or a pastor or something like that seen this individual, recognized them or had some awareness of them, had a friend that was a marshal
Okay.
and contacted them, and then they set the ball rolling, and then that pastor went and spoke to this person's dad. I think I'm only saying what I think. This is kind of how I
Okay.
understood what was being said on the news. Now
Gotcha.
I'm not saying I know any of this 1,000%, and that they convinced him to turn themselves in, so that it was a peaceful he took himself to whoever took him to the police, he turned himself in the long
Do they
run. He
have
turned
any like? Do they have any details on his age or anything like that? They
Yeah,
did.
they spoke on a lot of that. I was kind of in and out, and I didn't. I was kind of out of my house and back in a couple times. I didn't
Hmm.
catch all those details, but I mean, just by looking at him, I can tell that he's a younger fellow. Somewhere in his 20s or something, maybe.
Yeah, early to mid
And
20s is what they
I
were
do
saying.
remember them mentioning that he was from that area. He wasn't
Okay.
like from out of town, but I don't recall. I didn't hear like if they had any idea of they did. I don't even know if they went into like what is like I don't even know if they know all that yet because
Probably not. Yeah.
yeah, they had just started talking about it before it was time for us to come on here, and I was still yet running back and forth out the door,
Mm.
so I didn't catch everything that was said, but I do know that they caught that the dude turned himself in, and that they
Mm.
got him, and they're pretty well certain that it's
Mm.
the person. So the system worked. It worked. I don't understand investigative tactics on every level like that. So,
Yeah.
at least they did get him, and it did come to at least it came to a
Peaceful
peaceful
conclusion. Yeah.
conclusion. Because I mean, I think that our law enforcement was set up in a way where, like, bro, we're gonna get you, and if you give us any type of resistance, we're gonna really get you.
20.
Like
You
like
well, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you like that was the thing. Like my wife, like I was telling you before, like my wife had told me that she's like, hey, some fella in the States got shot. And I was like, oh wow. And but she didn't ever follow Charlie Kirk. She didn't know who he was. And then yesterday when I seen it, I remember seeing the headline, and at first I wasn't sure if it was something real, because like I mean you got to check everything these days. And then you click on it, and the second I seen it, man, I felt my heart sink. Like,
yeah,
and like there's been a lot of, another fellow was saying this. He's like, a lot of people have been lost over this year, like Ozzy and Hulk Hogan and those type of people. But this was like a young man who I actually believe had the best of intentions,
yeah.
and he showed that through his actions over and over and over again. And if the solution is just because you don't like what somebody's got to say, well then shoot them. And the craziest part is that it's probably exasperated, but the demographic that everybody is so terrified to talk about, within hours had sheets out asking for people to perform the same kind of acts on people like Matt Walsh, and there was like a couple other people. And I'm just thinking, like, how did it get this bad? Like, how did we get
I th-
here?
and I think all those people, as much as I love freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff, I think all those people should just be like, if you celebrated this person's public execution in any type of manner or any type of way, I think your platform should be gone. I think you should.
Oh
I
yeah.
think
Yep.
you no
Yep.
longer deserve to be in the public forum. I see brother Gen X. I see shout out to you. Let's go. Shout out to you, man. Great show
There is
yesterday, brother.
there was like some things I seen this morning that on what you just said actually were encouraging, because there are some lunatics up here, you know what I mean, as there are everywhere. But I mean, like, over the top. Like, this one woman was laughing at her, and she's like an influencer of some kind. I've seen her before. She's always doing the same kind of thing. And I'm not even going to repeat what she said, but somebody ended up going to her page. They ended up finding out where she worked. Turns out she was a teacher. They emailed the school board right away, and that woman has since lost her job. And I think that is a
Good,
fantastic thing,
good.
because people like that should
Take them out. Let's just be done with them.
Take them out. They should be nowhere near children. This is part of it. Like we gotta get these people away from our children. I believe. Like
Dude.
get them away,
Well,
man.
and the main thing is, as parents, we get ahead of it in the game by teaching them morals at the house. You
Yeah.
know, it starts with having a good. Because I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm gonna tell you just like this, and my son be the first one to stand up here and tell you I ain't lying. If I caught his little narrow tail on
Mhm.
social media, on any platform, on whatever it may
Oh
be,
yeah.
cheering and jeering somebody getting beat up, or somebody or somebody getting executed or killed, hey, I'm gonna yoke him up, and he's gonna wish that he never ever did that. And then any device that he might would have had availability to, I'm gonna make sure that it's in pieces, because that means I
Yep.
probably helped pay for it. And I got the right to make it as many pieces as I want. Now we all have a piece of it, and we can share it.
Yep.
Instead of everybody just having one chunk,
That's
we
it.
all can have little chunks of it, and everybody's got some. But I mean, really, like, I seen some young people on there, bro, that really their parents are the one that's probably paying for their college dorm or their college apartment. Their parents are the one probably paying that phone bill. Their parents are probably the one that's doing their laundry and sending them food to get or money to get food, and they have the ability to go yoke them up and be like, "What are you thinking, you fool? What are you thinking? What if that was your brother? What if that was your dad or
Well,
your,
you know what?
you
The
know?"
sad part about that though is that I think like, and I see this a lot. Like my son's still young, and like there's different friend groups and stuff like that, and some of them I've had to put the kibosh on because they have never had to deal with a consequence,
We
and
don't
they have
use them type of words on this platform.
this is a
I don't know what
family
that means. I don't know what that means. I was like,
kibosh. I had to put the run to them, right?
but I was like,
Yeah,
because I like
kibosh.
Polish. I like that kielbasa. That's pretty good with sauerkraut.
It ain't bad. But
Sorry, go ahead.
but this is how it starts, right? Is that they just keep getting away with things, and then they think that they're untouchable. And it's like, I can remember being a teenager, and I thought I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof, but I was raised half decent. You know what I mean? I did not have everything given to me. If I did something wrong, best believe I paid for it. You know what I mean? So now you got this kind of like child-run society, and it's trickled upstream, and apparently it's been going on a lot longer than I've noticed. You know what I mean? Because like for it to get to here, it's like, man, because like I was saying before, I mean, to be celebrating anybody being executed, I mean,
man, dude,
this is stuff that you only
that
used to
disappointed
see.
me so bad.
It's third world country kind of stuff, man. Like
Man, like,
it's
you
not
know,
supposed to be here.
it's just like, and I don't, I don't want to dare hear anybody ever say anything about no UFC or anything like that, about it's violent or anything like. Hey, man, y'all are just condoning, celebrating somebody getting. I don't want to hear no more of that crap. You're not serious. You're not
Yeah.
serious, y'all. And these politicians, hey, I'm gonna tell you, man. For those that actually believe in the right to free speech, then in my personal opinion, the worst thing you can do is not do what you were scheduled to do. You
Absolutely.
do what you got to do to pull security, spend out that big old chump change that you got all saved up from us tax dollars, us people paying your big salaries. Now you come out your pocket with you some security, but you make a point by you be where you said you was going to be. Don't you let this change your schedule. That'd be the most foolish thing that we could do as American people, Canadian people, any kind of folks that believe that we have a right to be able to say things that we believe to a certain degree without there being extremism involved. There's extreme on both sides, and
Yeah.
we can all agree on that. But there shouldn't be no room for that kind of platform. There shouldn't be no room for that kind of stuff. In our there should be room to take them, like you don't deserve that platform no more.
No, you don't. And there needs to be more protection for the people that are, sticking their neck out and what comes to mind is there was a young fella up here. He was a volunteer football coach for 10 years or so. So keyword volunteer here, right? 10 years a coach, and you meet a lot of kids, you meet a lot of parents. I know it myself because I coach. And he ended up getting fired for talking about, actual science stuff on what the school was trying to do, push this kind of agenda on young people.
Yeah.
And he spoke out against it, on his own platform in a very professional way. It wasn't crass. It was just explaining the facts. Here's the science. This is what I've observed. This man loses his job, and the community is in uproar about it. And a guy goes to interview him, and again, it comes to like the men saying that they're women in women's sports. Okay. So you have this guy who's injured 3 females, and he put one in a hospital from a brain injury, right? Because they're rugby players. And this guy's trying to talk to him, and this guy's 36, 37 years old, playing with a bunch of 18-year-old girls. First thing there, it's like, come on. And then when this guy is in a public forum, the interviewer trying to talk to this guy about, like, what are you trying to do? Like, this fella don't even put on the hair or any of the thing. It's just a dude, right? On the field, on the pitch.
He don't have a camel toe. He's got a camel foot.
No. And there's nothing them parents can do about that. And there's actually laws now that they're trying that apparently, according to this police officer in the interview, they arrested the reporter at the end of it because they said he was trespassing and asking rude questions. What? Like, this is no, it's not okay. And then you got a young fella talking complete sense about what is happening, and the differences in impact. And
so asking questions isn't okay, but making statements is. So if I'd have just said, "Hey, yo, you got a pecker, man. I'm sorry, you can't be here," then would that be okay? As long as I didn't ask him, like, I don't need to ask. Like, hey, yo,
well,
you're in the wrong locker room, bro.
once upon a time, I always thought of it like this. It's like, if I say I'm gonna slap the piss out of you, that can be assault, right? But if I'd say I'd like to,
right, that's just I'm just telling you how I feel.
Yeah, right. But now it's like, now they flip it, let it go the other way, just so it fits whatever. It's hard to not feel like there is a active campaign to just continue to create a divide,
Well, indeed there is, because that's where the money lies. They get to travel around and do their little oligarchy tours, and you get to do all that kind of stuff, as long as you're willing to spout some nonsense and say the catchphrase of the day. Then you're going to make the big bucks, and people are going to buy your book and never open it and put it on their shelf, and claim you're a scholar. But the truth of the matter is, man, history ain't gonna lie. History, when the history books look back, they don't look back for the members. They look back for the ones that did stuff. Yeah, and that's right. The ones that get spoke on. That's the ones that really get. They don't look back at the ones that just had a big mouth, just went around stirring the shit pile. They look at the ones that actually tried to create change, tried to find ways of working with one another, and make legislation that made sense. And the ones that you respect the most, for myself anyway, is when I see that, man, they're not always right straight down. Like, that's the ones that I feel like, at least they're you can see that they're not just taking a stand, because that's not their job.
No, and to go again, that's I think that would be a great way to sum up the character of Charlie Kirk, is that he will be one of those people that is remembered for doing the right thing, or at least trying to. I'm not going to say I believe or agreed with every single thing the man said. That was what was good about it. In fact,
I agreed with his motive.
Absolutely. What he was there to do was to get you thinking and get himself thinking. And you would even watch the evolution within himself. Sitting down with, 30 university students in a speed round for political questions. That would be an intimidating arena for anybody. This guy did this for years and just You know what I mean? Like,
Find one reflection of the man on the other side.
mm-hmm. Right.
Now they go talk to a lot of people, but people that agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
Now he went and subjected himself to audiences that he encouraged
Exactly.
dissenting thought. He encouraged
The
opposite
debate.
ways of
Yep.
viewing things, and he wanted to openly discuss them. Not only so that you, because I've said it to you before, man, saying things out loud sometimes for me and hearing it audibly will help
Mm-hmm.
me connect dots sometimes. Well, I think
Absolutely.
what he was doing was giving those people a microphone so that they could hear themselves
Yep.
proclaiming some of the things that they were trying to proclaim. And when you do that, what you do is you allow that person to hear what it says from the outside when you say that. How
That's right.
ignorant some of these statements that you make, and
Mhm.
how much of a sheep you really are when you
Yep.
do that. You know, you're a
Yep.
sheep. You're
Yep.
doing what everybody else says you should be doing, and that's
Yep.
exactly the opposite of freedom of
Yep.
speech. You know, free. You have your own thoughts. You can have your own ways of thinking that don't line up
And it's
with everybody.
okay to be like, this is something that I think, young people really need to understand today is it's okay to feel lost and not have it figured out right out of the gate. And like, take that time to think for yourself. Like that was one of the driving messages. And what I loved about watching him was you would literally see somebody come out just full of like, you know what I mean, against his position. And within a minute, then they're kind of like,
Yeah,
huh.
they either cowed down or
Yeah,
they
yeah,
started seeing his like,
yeah.
okay, okay, when you say it
So
like
it's like,
that, okay,
if you can
you
change
know.
one mind, right? You know what I mean? Or help one
Well,
mind, I guess is a
that's
better way of saying it.
that's
Yeah.
where I guess my support mostly out of all of it falls. At least he was doing something in the real world. He wasn't just a damn talking head like me. He
Well,
was out there in the real world subjecting himself to this kind of shit. Like, let's just be honest. He subjected himself to this,
mhm.
but it shouldn't have never been like this. But he was in the real world with a real set of values that he leaned on. And that's what
And
all of us are supposed to do in this world is find a
it-
set of values, a set of
yep,
core principles, and then build upon that and go with. And he was doing that in the real world, guys. This ain't real
no,
world. Me and
no,
Shine are protected in a little bubble right here
yeah,
because the truth of the matter is, I'm comfortable and everything. Ain't nobody gonna be yelling over there, from over here at me and
mhm,
over there at me and telling me I'm crazy
yeah,
and throwing stuff at me and everything. That's the kind of environments he put himself
mhm,
into to go
yep,
and spread what he felt like was the great news of Jesus Christ and what
mhm.
he felt like was numbers. Like, hey, I'm going by what the numbers say.
Yeah, and he
That's what he felt.
and a big part of what he really pushed on was the belief in the nuclear family that
Yeah,
there should be a husband, a wife,
yeah.
children. Like that's what we need to do. We need to hand this down. And I mean, I get like I don't baffled isn't the right word. Frustrated and like angry, not like kind of. It's just more like my brain short circuits when I see people going against this stuff and with such hatred. That's the only word I
Hatred,
can use.
dude.
Just
Hatred, man.
hatred. And
Hatred. Like, we've
man,
desensitized ourselves to other humans like that. People have just become where, oh, that's a Nazi, or oh,
yep.
that's a fascist,
And they
or
don't
oh,
even
that's
know
a.
what them words
They don't
mean.
even know they don't even know the definitions of them, but they're every one of them.
Yep.
And that is I think, you think about this, man. We've been seeing this what the last 20 years. Well,
Hmm.
you have a whole group of adult people now
Yep.
that's all they've heard their whole dang life is that
Yeah.
these people that are supposed to be our representatives and the people that's trying to create change for our communities. Well, all they've ever seen is them name calling, word of the day, word
Yep.
salads, and
Yep.
who can get the next viral video on whatever damn platform
Mhm.
it is that they're on. And
And live a life of no repercussions. Like
yeah, they're in a
that's
bubble.
Yeah, and that's like where I wonder, like, is there a tetherment to that disillusion with young people now thinking, well, I can just go take a shot at somebody, or I can just go,
There really is. There
you,
really is. And it's
like,
becoming evident, man.
yeah. What's
Just
that
by the
saying?
brazen.
Lead by example. The example ain't been very damn good for the last 20 plus years.
Oh,
That's for
no. No, it's been a sorry excuse as an example if you wanna talk about, like, who's considered the upper echelons of our countries, of, whatever, the representatives and everything. Like,
sure.
the last thing I can only speak on for this part as far as from the United States side go, like, but when I listen to, like, our Congress people and they're having their thing going on up there, and they're supposed to be having this real professional forum, everybody's supposed, and it sounds like a bunch of damn school kids arguing and carrying on,
Mm,
fussing and
mhm.
carrying on. It's like, man, I mean, I think you get a better chance of getting something done. Just let's take these bills to the kindergarten school out here,
You would, you
and
actually, and in fact, like there, we could probably find science that would back that up, because children do not have, especially if we're talking about kindergarten children, they're not filled with bias and hatred and greed and consumption. So you
yeah,
would get a better outcome, and it's almost insulting to like even refer to these people as kindergartners, because that's an insult to kindergartners. You know
yeah,
what
and
I mean?
how are they doing anything for their constituents, their people, if the people they're supposed to be working with, that every time they're on any type of news channel or they're on social media or whatever, they're bad mouthing the other, like how do you ever negotiate any type of good faith bill for your people that's
You
gonna work
don't.
for it? You
You
don't.
don't.
You don't.
It's
You guys are
no.
wasting our time
It's
and our
like the
money.
carrot and the stick thing. You know what I mean? It's like they constantly keep that carrot on the stick just far enough out of reach that you're going to keep trying to get it,
Yeah,
and they're going to keep taking everything away. It's
yeah,
not. There's no solutions anymore. Like, I mean, the politicians of old, I mean, maybe they didn't do that great either, but I believe they did better than the ones of today. And at least they came out with a platform where they said, "Hey, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm going to do." And then you would see them do maybe some of it. Now they don't do any of it, and they just keep talking in circles till people forget about their last catastrophic statement that they've made if it doesn't
yeah.
fit the current narrative, and then
Well,
rinse, wash, repeat. You know what I mean?
this crap about, like, a lot of these people that I personally seen over the past few years get on our house floor, get on their bandwagon and spout nothing but nonsense. But because they're on the house floor or whatever, they're not under oath or they're allowed to say whatever. And I think that's just, man. No, there should be repercussions for people that are supposed to be in roles that they get paid to represent. They get paid to be there, and they should not be able to go there and spout their own personal stances on things. They shouldn't be able to do that. It should be about taking care of business and not, but that's what they all spend their time when it's their time to talk. Then they'll spend their time twisting some narrative or talking about something, and it's like, man, that's not getting. You're not getting
No,
nowhere. We're not getting nowhere
no.
like that. There's
Like explaining it like that almost reminds me it's the law, right? If like I were to go downtown, let's say, over to the city, and I was just to sit around and I talked about my views hard enough and strong enough, and enough people gathered and they acted out, I would actually go to prison for that, right? I'd be arrested for inciting a riot. So it's like you're taking it, that kind of philosophy, and then you're putting it into a headspace of, if you're not with us, you're against us, which comes to gang mentality, right?
yeah,
And then people trying to prove themselves that they're so whatever, on either side. And it's like they're these extremes are where we need
man.
to narrow the margins
And
here.
these representatives that carry that mentality that we're speaking of, that gang mentality deal,
Yeah.
where if you're not with us, you're against us, then that just proves the point all over again that they're not doing their job. That is not your job. That is not your job. You get the big bucks so that you can figure out how to work with anybody and everybody. You try to figure out how to come to some type of, some type of open for. And I think one of the best ways that we could ever like create some real change and some real honest like force honesty into the picture would be like, okay, if we have a bipartisan bill that's put into place, and let's say there's 30 Republicans or 30 Democrats or whoever to one of the other, well, to them that's called bipartisan. Okay, well, if it's considered bipartisan, now let's blind this bill.
Yep.
Nobody knows who come up with what. Let's just put it up there and see who votes for what their constituents would need and want and would want them voting for.
Yeah.
And I believe that there's a lot of them that wouldn't have no clue what their party's real stance is. That you'd have votes all over the place because they don't really know what their stance. They just know, okay, well, Democrat voted this,
Oh,
I'm gonna
man.
vote this.
Yeah.
Republican voted this, I'm gonna vote this.
Yep.
Where if you made it to where they didn't know whether it was Democrat or Republican that voted either which way, then you would get a lot more honest vote. And then at the end, you could reveal where every vote came from. But while the vote was going on, I think they're like blind bill, like as to
I
who came up
agree.
with
I
it.
mean, like, how can you act like, how can you have a real like vote without bias unless it's done in that fashion?
You can't.
Because otherwise, like, people are gonna, oh, you voted on this. Like, I can only imagine
Yeah.
the conversations.
My
You know
buddy
what I mean?
Shine voted on this. I got a golfing tournament with him. I better.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
He paid for me and my wife to be there. I better go ahead
Everybody
and
wants to protect their bottom line, man. You know what I mean?
all the
And
money,
like,
bro, and
oh
you'll
yeah,
find where the vote came from. It's just,
Craig,
and
man.
that's not just here. That's pretty much
Oh, that's
anywhere you got
everywhere.
that
Oh,
shit.
it's the same here. It's unbelievable how insane it's become up here. Like I said, like one of the fellows that I like watching, he's from out west, and we got a lot of stuff going on right now in this country where the country's divided down the middle. And he was talking about what we're talking about yesterday, and he used, I won't say the words, but it wasn't anything offensive. It was just what they used to describe themselves. You know what I mean? Like the leftists. And then, he had a couple other words on there. And as I was watching the video came down. Like it literally, triangle came up, goes removed by YouTube. I'm like, what? I've never seen this before. So I try to reload it, won't come up. So then today, this morning, before we do the show, I go back on his channel and see like what's up, because he does like 3 videos a day. And he talked about the very fact that like he got a warning from the government, okay, about what he's talking about and how he's talking about it, and remove or else, right? And we've gotten to here, and all he was doing was talking about the exact same thing me and you were talking about right now. It wasn't one-sided or the other. He was just explaining, this is a man who tried, and this is what happened to him. This is what we're reporting at the time. And man, like it's scary. It's getting scary. It is.
Well, that's let's see, fried bologna and cheese, Sammy, and bag of Skittles and chips.
What are you doing?
I was trying to read him that. He said, don't let this distract you from the fact that Hector is going to be running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines. And on top of that, he just went to Harry's and bought 3 T66 turbos with NOS and a Motec exhaust system.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, guy, I just stopped at the corner store and got a fried bologna and cheese, Sammy, a bag of Gibbles chips. And I'm a happy kid.
Oh, he's doing. He's ready. That's hilarious. Like, he's like randomly just punching. That's almost trolling. That's borderline trolling.
I was like, I'm trying to put it together. I'm like,
there ain't nothing to put together. I'm going to turn it into this story. There ain't no conclusion.
Oh God, real outdoor living. I see you there, man. We're doing great, getting our Friday going. We were recognizing Mr. Charlie Kirk. on two different levels. Sean kind of followed the guy a little more than I really did. I just knew him as most people kind of had heard of him and stuff. And we were just approaching the subject of his demise and you know, the way that people reacted to some of it, some of the laughing and jeering. For us, it's just man, I think calling it out as much
Mm,
as we can is the
yeah,
right way to go with it,
right.
honestly.
I mean, like, if you got a heart, I hope, and you're still mostly human, just thinking about anybody, like, put yourself in those shoes if you have kids. And I don't, this has nothing to do with politics. If you don't have kids, if you know a kid, if you're married, if you're not married, if you've ever been in a relationship, and having the people you love the most watching you be publicly executed, that is sickening. And
It
anybody who wants to go and celebrate that should be locked up in either a
it's
mental facility or somewhere else.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. There's something that you
There,
gotta disconnect with, natural society, man.
oh
Uh,
man, it's just,
you know,
it really bothered me. It bothers me a lot, a lot.
that part really did, like, you know, it was horrific enough that we had some young children there watching, you know, college age kids watching and people on TV and then it on replay. But then you have these idiots on here laughing and making it a joke that this happened in the way it happened. Like
Yep,
there was
yep.
nowhere anywhere for there to be a joke in it. There was nowhere for there to be a snigger or you know a laugh
No, no,
about
no,
you know
no,
this
no.
dude just left his wife, you know, his wife, his two young babies, his mommy, his
Mhm.
daddy, people that was in his life just lost uh, a wonderful soul to them and a wonderful soul to the people that was around him. And you're laughing at this, whether you liked his stuff or not, doesn't matter at that point. Like, yeah,
No.
that was a dad, a husband, a friend.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
like that.
And
That's what should matter at that point. Like,
yeah.
man, this young lady who looks like she's trying to be a good mama anyway and loved her husband now has to try to figure out how to teach her kids about their dad, instead of them get to just learn about their dad
Well,
and
I'm,
get to be, you
yeah.
know, get to be a part of his life, man. You know,
Yeah. And
just
if nothing else, like I know certain things are changing, and I hope they do continue to change in the sense that people are starting to say enough is enough. I hope that we're going to catch this in time, because it's, Charlie Kirk is an example of what's happening in most communities. In North America, random attacks are happening to all sorts of people. Like, he is just a person that was in not just a person, but a person that was in the, you know, bigger world or the public eye, if you will. But this is happening everywhere. And like
everywhere.
I talked about it on Wednesday, on a 2 week vacation, I seen one police shooting. Okay. And then the other one about the guy being in the middle of the highway and the police showing up, putting four cones around him, literally a human body. And their solution was to put four cones around him and some caution tape on a highway. Think about that. And then another fella who lived in the complex where my mom lives, who had been, I don't know, arrested countless times for assault and battery on his wife and children. And the night we were leaving, lit the car on fire in front of the place with the intent to take out that complex.
It's
Like
crazy,
that,
man.
that's what I've witnessed with my own eyes. And then
Right.
we go to these conversations and this stuff is happening everywhere. So we got to get in
I'm
gear.
telling you, man, we got a whole, and look, and if you look at the age groups that all this is kind of happening in, it's like, you know, they're just young enough and just old enough to have, man, most of their life they've been hearing this nonsense. They've been
Yep.
hearing this
Yep.
back and forth most of their lives. A lot of them, anyway. I'm not saying all of them. I don't like to do that, but
No,
a
no,
lot of them are at that age where you can identify that, man, for most of their life they've been hearing some bull crap. They've been piped and fed a bunch of nonsense about a lot of things. And and it's created a desensitized group of people that think if they don't like the way you talk or what you have to say, then your life ain't worthy to them. And
Mhm.
that's sad. That doesn't mean they
Oh,
personally would do anything to you. That
it's
just means they don't
different.
care whether you live or die, bro. Like,
And it's so
you know,
disenchanting, and where like my mind wants to go to is like, what is the solution for this? Like, what is the solution? Well, the first thing I know is it's not going to be an overnight thing. This is going to take time, just like it took time to create. And if you think like at 20 years old that your life is nothing more than an assignment to a group, and like, I mean, this has always existed in society, like, again, to go back to like the gang kind of thing, but you had your pride, you had your values, and what is it seems like now is like a bunch of like what they call NPCs, you know what I mean, non-player characters that are just getting this same input over and over and over and over again until inevitably an action happens. Now, you do that for 20 years, and these events that used to happen, say, I don't know, once a year, became, every 6 months, became every 3 months, became multiple times a day. That's where we're currently at right now. And
like
people
the
are
lawlessness.
supporting it.
And look, we got major cities that they call a good night under 10 murders. Well, hell, you got a better chance in a war zone.
Yeah, you do.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you
good
do.
God, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that 30 some injured and only 10 wounded or killed or whatever. Like only,
Only.
but,
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
like at what point do we say like enough? Like that's pretty scary, man. Like I don't.
It's very scary because you made a great point. It's like when, like, on a lot of the last deployments, you know what I mean, over to the Middle East, like the average, and I mean, it's not a good thing to say, but like in a year, like 118. Okay, that's in a war zone, dude.
That's a war zone.
In a war zone. So it's like in a month, you like that's beat, easily beat. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So
so who in their right mind would be against like some help? Like let's get this stuff figured out, man. Because there. But you know what? I also believe it starts with swift justice too.
oh
I
yeah.
believe that President Trump was talking about that this morning, and like
Mhm.
with that dude that stabbed that young lady on that bus. Hey,
Uh,
man, it's on video. Like,
yep.
there's no question about whether you did it or not. So to me, that shouldn't be a 4-year trial. That should be a
Mm-mm.
10-year trial. That should
That's
be like, yo,
open and
you're
shut,
guilty.
man. Yep.
All right. Do you want public stoning? Do you want
Hmm.
do you want to walk the plank?
Yep.
Would you like to be stabbed to death? Which one would you like? Because that's pretty much, that's how I feel about that.
Yep.
Um, but like it should be swift. We should not have to spend our tax dollars and tax and treasures on keeping a person up that to me is not worthy of the oxygen in which that they are breathing
I
because of
agree.
the heinous crime that they committed. That's
Hmm.
why they go through the justice system. You get your day in court, but we make it a quick one, and then we send your hind into the
And we
gallows.
move on to the next one, and we do it
Yes,
as fast as we can.
yeah,
You know
get
what I
you
mean?
done.
Because
Because that's
that's what shot.
deserving. That's
Yes, it is.
deserving of that. I
Yes, it
mean,
is. And I mean, there's things that I've gotten into trouble legally before about nothing in this kind of realm. My thing was always issues with drugs and stuff like
mm,
that, right? Which we've talked about before. However, I mean, I'm going to tell you, when they dropped the hammer on my ass, they had no problem dropping it. I was
mhm.
about there 3-4 minutes before that came down. And then I can hear daily reports of repeat offenders. I mean, for heinous stuff, man. Like
Yeah, man.
heinous stuff.
Like,
There's literally a fella who had 68 charges on him. Okay. This is like, you can read this about 10 times a day up here right now. 68 charges against him. They arrested him at noon for beating his wife nearly to death, released him at
mm.
supper time, went back and finished the job. And this time they think they're going to bring charges against him.
You
Think.
reckon?
Oh, yeah, right? Like, I mean,
Gee, I
this
hope
is
they
ridiculous.
don't treat him unfairly.
Oh, I hope you know what I mean. I hope the pillow's soft.
I do too. I
You
do
know.
too.
Yeah.
They should allow me to oversee his care.
Yeah. Oh
We'd
yeah.
see if we couldn't tie a chain to him and pull him through the beanhole.
This
Pull him
old
through the
technique,
beanhole.
yeah, the
If
old
you live to make it through the beanhole, then you're free to go.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Hook up
yeah.
to him and be like, "All right, boys, beep,
Sweet
beep, back."
dreams, pillow treatment
Yeah,
time.
but you wanna go head first or feet first? I'll let you decide.
Yeah.
This is a democracy here. You
Yeah.
decide. Do you want me tied to your feet or
Life
or
and death are filled with choices. You get to
we
decide.
can go around the waist too if you really think you can get through that beanhole like that, but I'd wanna sharpen up as best I could.
Would be
Uh,
as aerodynamic as
yeah,
possible.
yeah. It's the square of the corners I fear will probably be rough on them ears and
Yeah, yeah.
portions of that head, but once you get going, it might slide right on. You never know.
They
But, I
never
mean, that's the kind I feel
yeah.
like, though, getting back to our original point, and the reason why I say this is,
Mhm.
it example, when I went to court out here, the
Yep.
judge pretty much blanket everybody that was in there for the same charges, the dope that I was in there for, got the same exact thing, and it was a harsh sentence, 20 years. Well, the reason why he did that was not so much just because of us, but it was to put a message out to everybody else that was involved in any kind of bullshit. Like, hey, yo, if you're gonna do this, then you're gonna get a 20 piece. And you know, I'd say that that probably deterred a lot of folks from wanting to do that particular crime. Or, you know, they did a good job about maybe trying to stay under the radar at that point. Well, if you put it out there that, man, you commit some old heinous foul crime like that, we're not gonna play around with 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and then we're gonna go through this and that and no. No, if it's on film and it's clear that you did what you did, to me, that should be like, okay, you just saved us a bunch of money because we ain't even got it. Like, okay, yep, you're guilty. And if you plead guilty, then we're gonna make this a quick one. If you don't plead guilty, and we gotta spend another week in here to go ahead and
Oh, yeah.
get you to the, then we're gonna slow this up just a little bit
And
upon.
and that's how it used to work. You know what I mean? Like that was one of the most frustrating things. I mean, or I don't know. I still don't know how to really process this part. But for myself, when I got jammed up, within 2 months, the government had shifted, and they weren't arresting people with anything on them. Like it was a free for all, and it's been like that for a decade up here. But
Mm.
I'm already in, right? I can't get out. I can't do nothing. And now I'm sitting there watching guys do absolutely horrendous things, cycle in, cycle out. You know what I mean? And you're thinking like, what did I do to have to be here for this? Really? Like why? You know, I get it. I get it. I broke a rule, but like, does the punishment fit the crime? And now I'm seeing like what I consider the worst kind of crimes happening, and then you don't have any punishment for it or very little. You know what I mean? Like it's
I think that answers the question as to why we keep having a problem with these types of things too.
yep.
Is the consequences need to fit, like I say, I agree 100% with you that there's things that, man, people are in jail that it's just a joke. It's like, why are you wasting everybody's time with this?
Yeah.
Everybody's, not just theirs, but taxpayers and everything. But then
Mhm.
for those crimes like the heinous ones and the ones where people are stealing and thieving and everything, then
Mhm.
you make a real prime good example out
That's
of
right.
them as they go in. And the other ones that go and think about getting sticky fingers with somebody else's stuff, then they're
Mhm.
gonna think twice about like, hey, you know, like, I don't want to do that because I'm gonna wind up in the jailhouse now and
Like,
be there for a minute.
you know, you
Uh,
look at California and San Francisco in particularly, you know, where like they what was it, decriminalized theft up to $999.
yeah.
It's like what person, seriously, what person in their right mind ever thought that that was a good idea?
Well, and this is what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, as a man that worked with my tools,
Mm,
made a living with my hands. You know what you could do by stealing $900 of my tools? You just took kids out of my family's mouth. You just took rent away
yeah,
from my
that's right.
pocket. You just screwed me. Now is this a life and death thing? Yeah, for me it is. Yeah, for me it
Mhm,
is, and it's almost
mhm.
worthy of yours to get my stuff back. Uh, because you're not just stealing money from people when you do that. You're still like my daddy. You steal
Mhm.
that kind of stuff out of his toolbox back in the day when he was trying to feed us kids and take
Yes,
care of
sir.
mom, then I
Mhm.
can promise you, if he was the one to find you, you would have wished to God that the sheriff's department found you
Yep,
because that
yep.
man worked with his hands and he made a living. And you steal $500 or $900 of tools out of his truck, you might have just stole everything it took for him to accomplish his job and make the money it takes to feed his family. And
Uh,
that's in real life. That you just put yourself in a life risking situation by doing that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you did, and you
Mhm.
you should get what's coming to you. I remember my father and the older fellas that I worked with when I started the trade. That was one of the first things they taught you. It's like if you ever need to borrow something, you ask. You never take, because if you take, you take a man's livelihood, right?
Oh yeah,
And like
dude.
that switch, I've seen some people take some severe licks over
Well, I
grabbing a
mean,
screwdriver on a different crew, and then like for real, and then battle, fisticuffs would come up.
yeah, my
But
thing was like those kind of things and like that, like people have to realize that like with
Mhm.
a tradesman,
Yep.
your tools is like your that is your livelihood because I can
Yeah.
be this is my example to like
Yep.
this and this is how my daddy explained it to me. He's like, over time, son, you need to start making sure that you have your own tools. He said, because listen to me, just
Mhm.
because daddy's got them here and we work with them all the time, that's cool. But over time, you buy your own because the only thing that separates a carpenter from a laborer is the fact that the carpenter has worked his way up and saved the money to buy the tools to accomplish the job with and learned how to use them.
Right.
And that stuck with me like, okay,
Mhm.
like it takes both. I can know how to do a lot of things, but a person needing a job done, what am I going to do? Go say, well, yeah, I can build that garage. You got a miter box, a rip saw, you got a plumb bob. Do you have a tape measure I can borrow?
Mhm.
Hey, do you got a
Mhm.
hammer I can use for the
How
next?
about a level? You know
No,
what I
like,
mean?
yeah, it's like
Yeah, right. Yeah.
they're not gonna hear that. So,
No.
that's my point about taking people's stuff like that or like around here in my little area, man, you
Mhm.
didn't wanna get known as somebody that stole stuff from the job site because then you
Oh
couldn't
no.
land a job no more. You
No.
couldn't get a job. People would like, "Nah, yo, I don't want nothing to do with you, man. You steal
No.
stuff." Like, no, no. Because man, it's in our little town, especially, you get known quick if you you start stealing stuff. It don't take long that your name goes full circle, and then like
You burned
everybody's
yourself.
kind of
You
like,
you burnt
oh
yourself. Yep.
yeah,
You're burnt. You're burnt.
even
Your name is
even
no
if you
good here.
were
Yep.
19 when you did it, everybody
I
still
know that, man.
remembers.
It's just like back home. They don't forget, man. It's
Don't
ingrained
forget.
forever.
Yep,
Yeah, that
yep.
story will go around. But that's where, like, I think that's when I first really kind of started coming out of the vid haze. You know what I mean? Like with all the lockdowns and stuff like that. And I started getting on social media again, and I started noticing, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, is this really happening? Like, people are crashing stores, like these stores downtown San Francisco and all over California, and just grabbing stuff and darting and throwing spark plugs through windshields and looting cars. And I'm thinking, and then I'm like, what? You also defunded the police?
Yeah,
Like,
that makes a lot of
okay,
sense.
them are two dots I got, and I'm wondering who was the one that signed off on them two dots before I go to three, right? Like,
Man, it's just
it just, like, you can't, like, you'd have to be a fool to think it wasn't by design. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really. But
well, you can't
what is
you
the idea, though? To instill permanent chaos and dissident amongst everyone?
Well,
Like,
and the way that they keep it, you cannot tell me that the majority of people that live there want that. It's the people
no, they
that
don't.
they get voted in. They got their ways of doing things. They got
Yep.
districts drawn up and all this kind of stuff, and it's just a weird situation like that because
Mm.
you look at the common folk and you're thinking there's no way in hell they want to walk past that every day. There's no
No,
way that
no,
they want
no.
to deal with this
Mm,
on a daily basis. There's
mm.
just no way. There, there
Yeah,
there's just there's just no way that they want to deal with that. And it's
yeah.
it's not because they're cruel. It's not because no, because they work hard, they pay a lot of money, and they want to live in a
First of
clean,
all, you
big
weren't dealing with it, you know what I mean? Like maybe on a minuscule scale, there was some theft and like there is anywhere, right? But then you have these laws passed, and
yeah.
let's get real. There's people that are gonna hear that and think, "Ooh,
Oh, they
payday!"
go in there with a damn calculator. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
you can
man.
take that. We're still oh yeah, we're at $7.99. Yeah, go ahead
Okay,
and get
good.
that.
We
All
got
right,
another
we're at
200.
866. Go ahead and get us one. Okay, we better stop there because if you add tax in, that puts us at
And
998.
what
And then they
what
walk out.
and what's so crazy about that like the laws particularly there, and I was watching this thing and reading about them to back check it, is that you can go into a store, take up to $999 worth of stuff, throw it in a car or give it to your buddy, turn around, walk right back in and do it again.
Yeah, yeah. I
A
thought that's
lot.
how everybody did it, Sean. That ain't how everybody
Back in
does
the
it.
day, you had to be sneaky with the giant overcoat and like the old lady hat, like going through the meat section at the
I,
deli.
yeah, it's like
Oh, come on now.
it doesn't take any kind of
No.
lawyer, doctor, Indian chief, or none of that to be like, dude, that don't work, man. That don't work.
This is not gonna
Uh,
last that
it's
long,
not gonna
guys.
last. This ain't gonna work. I'd say we're gonna run out of merchandise and money and
Likely lose everything that we have
possibly
built for hundreds
yeah.
of years, you know.
I
But I
mean,
mean, who cares, right?
oh yeah. And
Ah, dude.
the shameful part is it starts right at the top and
Mm-hmm.
goes right on down because they have the ability to not let those types of things happen. So therefore, you have to start leaning in on is it purposeful? And
Bro,
you would like to think that they're all ignorant and they're all dumb and that there's that they
oh,
just are ignorant, they're blissfully ignorant.
mhm.
But you know better because
Yeah.
they're not dumb. They've made a choice, and maybe in private they're like, "Man, this is some bullshit." But they know that to keep their platform and to keep
Mhm.
what little bit of what they perceive as power, to keep that, they have to keep on with this little narrative and keep that little that that whole line of shit going
Oh
that
yeah.
they
Yep.
keep
Yep.
out.
This like that us and them mentality, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like no matter, like that's one thing that's very disappointing to see, and we continue to see it, is that like, hey man, like if me and you were on the same party or something like that, and like I went and did something terrible, let's say I drunk drove and I ran
Yeah,
somebody,
you drank the whole keg and didn't let nobody know about it or something like
you know
that.
what I mean? And
Right.
then I crash into a store, I do whatever. I
Yeah.
would hope, and like this might sound weird, but I would hope that like an example would be made of me, because
That's hey,
it should not be. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That don't worry about that. He probably won't do it again. And then like,
he learned his lesson.
yeah, I'm sure he's gonna turn
He's
it around.
better now.
No, no, he ain't. It's like if I
Well,
give you
I mean,
something for free and you don't have to work for it, and then I take consequence away, you start to actually, it seems to me that people start to believe that they can get away with anything.
right.
And that is continuing to be exasperated.
Yeah. Well, I know you said earlier, like, about like talking about punishments and like the crime and everything. Does the crime fit the punishment? And the one way that I was able to round those corners enough to make it make sense for me is yes. Yes, my crime fit the punishment. And the reason I say that is because it took that amount of time for me to clean up, for me to sober up, and for
Mm,
me to get my mind right and have my mind set in a different kind of way. Does it mean I was better always? No, it just means that I knew that there was available for me a sober side. And that's what that I mean. So for me, the only way, because I feel like I got a lot of time for the crime that I committed as far as the actual crime to society. Because any crime I committed was to myself. It wasn't to anybody. I didn't try to hurt nobody. It was only me that I hurt, unintentional, but it was only me. And
Yeah.
only me, and that I hurt and didn't mean to hurt. I wasn't trying to hurt people
No.
in that way. But
No.
the way that I round it is like, yep, for the way that my faith is and the way that I believe and where I'm at on my journey now compared to then I look back on it and I say, well, yeah, the crime fit the punishment, because if they'd have given me what my lawyer said I would get when I walked in, the 7 months to a year, 7 months to 12 months, which would have kept me in the jailhouse, but
Well, might
that's
not
just the way sentencing or
have
whatever.
been enough. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
truth of matter, I tell you right now, at 7 months in, I was still pissed. I was still fighting coming off of dope. I mean, I was clean, but
Absolutely.
not clean. You know what I
No,
mean?
of course, because like
I,
once you get over the physical side of it, it's a good 6 to 9 months before your brain recalibrates. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
well, and
So,
I was just still pissed, and I was
yeah.
still like in that rebellious kind of thing. So I know that if
Hmm.
my ex-wife would have been able to come scoop me up in 7 months, then the whole time that I was locked up, I'd have been playing the game of I only got 7 months. But bro, when they locked that 20 years down and then suspended that 17, and that meant a full 3 years, like they're like, you're gonna do 3.
Yeah.
Dude, that's when it was like, whoa. Well, that was enough time to get past the whoa,
Hmm.
onto the oh,
I'm
and
gonna
and
be
then
here a
get
while.
yeah,
What do I
and
want to make out of this? Really?
yeah,
You know?
and then you
Yeah.
do exactly what my hat says. You embrace the suck, and
Hmm.
you take what you had. Yeah, like you don't have to
And get
ever.
on
I
with
have
it,
a lot of
man. You
people
know what I
saying, "Man,
mean?
I don't know how you did that time." Hey, I can tell you, you'd have been able to do it too. They throw you in there, and then you can't get out until they
You
tell
don't
you.
have a choice. They see this is the key thing here.
Like, it's not like they were like, all right, well, look here, son, I'm going to give you 20 years with 17 suspended. You can choose to go spend it in the jail, or you can go to the house.
Yeah, maybe
Well, I
weekends.
probably
Up
wouldn't
to
have been able
you.
to do the time either. I'd have been
No.
like, well, you know what? The house sounds good at this point.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but that's how you do it, and you figure your way
You
out.
you remove the choice. You know
Yeah,
what I
there was
mean?
sheeps and there was wolves, and you decide
Oh
which
yeah.
one you want to, which end of the spectrum you wanted to be on, and
That's right.
that's just the way that worked. You could be a punk and go along with what everybody had to say, and everybody kind of just know that they could do you any old way, as far as like, oh, I'll just take his stuff, or I'll go get this and not pay him back, or I'll
Mhm.
do this and do. You could choose to be that guy, or you could
Mhm.
choose to be the kind of dude, I didn't ask nobody for shit. Nobody asked me for shit, and that's the way
Mhm.
I carried it, and I was
Yep.
cool with that.
That's
Like,
right.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and and that was cool, and that kept me on the wolf side, so to speak. I wasn't
Yeah.
the
Oh
toughest,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
on the side of, hey man, I don't mess with you, you don't mess with me, and we'll carry it that way. I don't,
Uh,
you know what I mean?
I remember an old fella saying to me, he's like, "You just say yes one time." And he's like, "You can never say no again." And that resonates with me forever.
Dude,
Because
yeah, don't get in debt. Don't
one
go in debt.
time, mm-mm,
Don't take a
mm-mm.
favor. Don't take a
No,
favor.
never, never,
Just
man.
don't.
And
And it's
you
not a
know,
sexual thing that you're thinking of. It's like you
no,
don't take a favor just because they'll
no,
extort the shit. They will do
that's right.
everything they can to
Yep.
triple up on what you
Here's a
owed,
pack of
or
smokes. Now you got to do something
yeah,
XYZ, man. You know what I mean?
or
Like,
you
in
owe
the,
them 3 packs. I remember when I first
yeah,
got to the
yep,
penitentiary, man, people wanting to, try to store box you. Well,
hmm,
like they're wanting like they give you, like, you hadn't had a can of soda in months. So like
yeah,
they got these cans of soda sitting there looking all nice and everything.
yeah,
Then you act like, well, hey man, like, how much will I owe you back if I get one of them? Oh, it's 1 for 3. And you're like, well, hey man, hey, you can kiss
yeah.
my little skinny white butt one cheek at a time for free.
Yeah.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Mm-mm,
I
mm-mm.
ain't happening that way.
I don't
You're
need
not
a
gonna hoe
soda
me
that
out.
bad. I don't need a soda that bad, baby.
Yeah, well, and I'm thinking, well, now my mom and dad are the ones that's sending me money, and I can promise you, you're not the kind of dude my dad would buy anything for. So I better not. I better not
Hmm.
make that trade. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh yeah.
I,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
now, but then in my mind, I was also like, no, I don't want to even owe them for one day, not 2
Oh,
days, not 3
no,
days, not
no,
5 days. I
no.
don't want them for nothing.
Mm-mm.
No, not
Nope.
5 minutes. I'll
No.
wait I'll wait for my own stuff.
That's
But I
right.
also feel like that kept me out of some situations. I've seen other people get in that if you'd have just been patient and waited another couple days, you wouldn't have been arguing with that dude or had nobody
Mm.
up in your stuff over,
And
why you hadn't paid them back yet. If you
and
just
that
said, "Hey, man, I'm good. I don't need nothing." You know what I
and
mean?
and that and that is, I think, the most one of the most applicable messages out of this whole conversation today is that people need to learn how to have patience. If you have them, we need you to teach them to the younger generation that everything is not insta. You know what I mean? It's not an insta world. I know that they're trying to make it seem like it is,
But
but
you do
there's
have instant hot chocolate, which is awesome.
that is the exception to the rule, and
That's
Instagram, I guess, would be the other one. But
yeah.
you know,
I'd still take the
you know,
instant chocolate, the
but
hot
in
chocolate.
but there's going to be times where you have to, whether it's, you don't have to necessarily go to jail or anything like that for that to happen, but to be able to sit with yourself and understand that it's going to take time and work to get the things that you want out of life, and this idea that just by being over the top or too so extreme that it's going to happen for you is a
Yeah.
crazy
They've
plan.
created they've created a big bunch of heathens into thinking that the more ignorant they can be, the more viral they can be, so the chance of making more money they have. And instead of people trying to make wholesome content or things that
Mhm.
are fun or funny, it's people outrageous. That's like, dude, you shouldn't even be. That shouldn't even be on here. Like,
No.
you're just being
And
outrageous.
if you weren't so busied out, you know what I mean, with like what am I, whatever's going through your head, what is your attachment, what is your everything. And I mean, again, like I know a lot of this because like we've both, like I'll personally say for myself, I went through lots of changes in life. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like lots of influence and
I feel
wondering
like
and
now I'm going through menopause, and
man, oh pause,
it's
baby.
been rough, man. I'm telling you. It's
But you have to know at them times, and I tell my son like that, like, if he gets angry or he freaks out about something, it's like I'll let him have his freak out, and then we sit down and like, hey, what was that? All right, like what just happened? Like, did I say something? Did I do something wrong? You know what I mean? I thought I explained myself clearly, but I realized that's the back end of this that's not happening. There's not somebody sitting down with somebody going, well, why do you think this way? Right? Like, why do you think it's okay to act this way? How did it get to here? And I mean, like, we can all assume and put our own ideas into why we think that is. But I think at the end of the day, like, just getting back to talking is the most important thing, which is one of the biggest tragedies about losing somebody like Charlie Kirk, because he was a person who was getting out there, getting people talking, and now he's been removed, right? And he was a big person in the sense of a not in fame way. That's not what I mean. A big presence and a very courageous man, I believe, to do what he did and done, and he will be remembered for that. So,
yeah.
yeah, it's a
In their
real loss. It
in
is.
their effort to silence that one man and his
Yep.
voice, they amplified his voice by millions.
Yes, it did.
And
Yep.
his message by millions. And whether you agree with what he was doing or not, this is the message I received, was he
Mm-hmm.
found his way forward and then went with it. And he was doing something. That's
Mm-hmm.
the key.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just being a talking head, instead of living in your little protected bubble, like I'm
Yep.
in right now. This is what I call protected bubble. I mean, nobody, no voice of dissent. I got Shine here talking to me, but there's not people over here screaming at me, people over here, there's nothing being
No.
thrown at me. I'm in a bubble. I'm a protected little bubble. Well,
Yep.
this guy was taking himself and putting himself
And
into where
into a very dangerous, like, I mean, you would not make any kind of strategy normally for something like that in a way
mm-mm,
that you would take somebody and be like, we don't even know who half these people are here, and let's say there's 10,000 of them,
yeah,
maybe half of them like you, but the other half don't. That's best case scenario. So
yeah.
how's this gonna go? Like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
and
The one,
that he was inviting, like, hey,
yeah,
if you don't
something
agree
crazy.
with me, then prove me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
Bring
I
it up.
like that. I like that, man. And this is where the whole problem starts, though, with some of these young kids, is they're
Mhm.
asked, "What do you think about something?" And the first thing out of their mouth is, "Well, I feel like." It don't have nothing to do with how you feel as to what is fact or what
No,
is real. Like, first, what drove you to the thought process? And if it's how you feel, well, you've already went into it with the wrong idea already. You've got to know your facts. You got to know what's going on. You can't go with
uh-huh.
conjecture or with rumor.
No, no,
You can't do that. It's just
no.
like these high school kids running around, and there'll be some little drama thing going on, and it's all about because somebody felt a certain way, and then in the end, after a week of everybody having their little drama and sending little sad faces at everybody, then they come to find out, oh, well, they were just having a bad day and they were scribbling on their
Oh,
notebook. And
this is, this is what this man did so well, was that he literally would like let you go, and he would just, you'd see, and there was almost like a click that would happen, and he'd be like, okay, so here's the facts. And like he would start with like an opening statement like that. It's like, I've listened to you now. Now it's
yeah,
my turn. And
yeah,
here are the facts. What you're saying is exactly what you just said, guy, is that feelings, and then like you would see bizarre reactions, like when he would actually
yeah,
like, boom,
yeah,
here's the payload, and I got you. And people
yeah,
being like, ah, you were like blah blah
yeah,
blah, like you're
yeah,
nothing but, and then like drag the
yeah,
person away, and the next one would come up, right? But it
yeah,
was just like you just see him go like, no, that's not. And I can't say that I ever like he would get uppity sometimes, like when some people were just, but I mean, even in a way that was still professional, I
yeah.
found. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
yeah, man.
it was like if you're gonna sit here and call at me for like 3 minutes, you know what I mean? Call down at me. Well, I'm gonna put a few jabs in there, and then I'm gonna back them
Daggone
with some
right.
facts. You know
You
what I mean?
daggone right.
Yeah,
Daggone right, man. I
yeah.
mean, and a lot of times, man, letting somebody hear how stupid they sound over a big speaker is the best
Mhm.
medicine for them. All right,
Yeah.
now you speak into this microphone like I'm doing, and you let everybody
You
in here
speak
know what
directly into
you're.
the microphone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep, and
yeah,
you let everybody out here in this audience know what you're what you're where you're coming from, and
yeah,
everybody can hear where I'm coming from. And then as soon as people would start talking and trying to explain their situation, you can almost see it on their face how stupid they sound. Like like they realize, damn, I
yeah.
really sound dumb.
Oh,
Like like this.
there's a few that were absolutely wild, like because he had like two like major like kind of formats he would use. He would have one where like he kind of sat at the table, and then people would come up in a line, you know what I mean, and ask a
Mhm,
question. But then he had the
mhm,
other ones where like he would be like in the middle of a circle, and then they'd all be around him, and they'd have to
yeah,
run up and like do that.
yeah,
So like the craziest part about that when he did the round circles, as I call them, is that he could be so 100% right, and you would see like the people in the background, because you can see like half the
yeah.
screen right at a time.
I know the format you're speaking
Yeah,
of.
where they would be, oh, like you know what I mean, like he got us there, like you know what I mean, but they were all united, like that whole group of 30 is united against the one, and he's just
Yeah,
hammering through
yeah,
what you're doing. And and the other thing I liked about him was that if he did miss something, or he did, like insta time kind of thing, change or think something different, he would admit it. Like he'd be
yeah,
like,
it would.
well, actually, that was fantastic. You know what I mean? Like he was never, I don't know. I just think it's a
Well,
shame, a terrible
I
shame.
like the fact that not only did he come at people with numbers, but he allowed a certain amount of, "I understand what you're feeling. I
Yeah.
get what you're feeling, but that doesn't make it right.
No.
That doesn't make that fact. Just because you feel like the sun is lower today than it was yesterday, the fact is it's probably about in the same spot it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Chances
I'm
are.
sorry, maybe you feel that way,
Yeah.
but it's still pretty much right where it was at yesterday about this same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And that's where we went wrong, is somehow making people think that the whole world cares about their feelings. No, your mom, your dad, your friends, your psychiatrist, they care
Yeah.
about your feelings. The rest of us are looking for clicks. That's what everybody else is looking. Just like you're looking for clicks, they're looking for clicks. Everybody's
Mhm.
looking for clicks these days. And that's what it's all came to, is even
Mhm.
if it's a bad thing to have a click for, well, if it'll get a view or a click, oh, well, that's great. And that's not the way that it's meant to be. That's not, they're
No, like,
pushing the
and
limit.
and that's what's scary about it. Like, if that's, and yeah, we know that's true, right? Like, people are constantly doing really dumb stuff to try to get views. Uh, However, it really is, disturbing to see the humanity of humans being lost and thinking that it's okay to carry on and, celebrate, and not only celebrate, then put out a hit list and saying thank you for having the balls to take out that. Like, who the hell are you, right?
Right.
You don't get to decide that. One fella gets to decide that, and it ain't you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
And there should be repercussions for those types of
there
things, like
needs to be
real
the,
world
like
repercussions.
like for real. Like, listen, like, you look at some people like Jordan Peterson, who's like, I'm a huge fan of, and I look at what my country has done to this man, stripped him, taken his degree away from him, and he didn't say anything remotely close to the stuff that's going on now. All he did was try to share and explain and do something kind of like what Charlie Kirk was doing in a different way, right? And he was in the universities trying to teach the students that, hey, listen, you're being sold a lie here, and like, this is how I can prove it to you, so on, etc. If you want to look at them, you can look at them, on your own time. But this is another fellow who's been torn down, and he has not gone ahead and put out a unalived list. He hasn't made sporadic, insane TikTok videos. Yet there are other people that have the exact same degree as he does, same level of education, and they're still doing their job, and they have been, and they've been making a pretty dime off of it over the last decade.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, there's clearly a double standard at the very least, if nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah. And the double standard has really shown itself with the radicalism on either side or the other.
Yep. Yep.
And with this dehumanization of each other as human beings, it'd be like me saying, oh, well, it's like I've said on here before, like, I will never refer to someone that I have developed any type of relationship on YouTube with other than just like a video, but I will never refer to them as someone just on YouTube. No,
No,
they're a damn person.
that's
They're a
right.
person. There's a
Yep.
person on the other end of that. Am I always going to agree with that person? Of course not.
No.
But that doesn't mean that I don't want to. That doesn't mean that in my mind that I can justify doing them some kind of dirty way by saying, "Well, they're just a person on YouTube." No,
Hmm.
they're a person. They're a
Hmm.
person, and I try to treat the same as far as through YouTube as I would out in the world, and that's where the whole thing fails for me. Is everybody think it's just here? It's like, man, guys, you're just calling people a fascist, a Nazi, a racist, and you're doing that to a group of people that might be all they've ever heard their whole life now. And
Yep.
now we're wondering why people are wanting to assassinate people and not want to hear voices of dissent. It's because we've made an environment in which that you create a bubble that agrees with everything you say. You
Hmm.
create your own little bubble that
Yep.
you get all your little likes, all your little
Your own
shares,
little,
all your
your
little
own
hearts.
little yes man circle. You know what
You
I
get
mean?
your
Like,
own little circle,
yeah.
and at least Charlie was stepping himself out of his little bubble and saying, "Okay, well, let's talk about this. Let's see what you got to say, and let's see what I got to say."
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to claim no high ground on nobody. He was saying, "Here's the numbers. Here's what I can, prove for myself is right. It's not how I feel.
Mm.
It's real." It's like that one
Well,
little gal
that,
that was on there, and he asked her to define a woman, and
oh,
she said,
yeah.
"It's someone who feels like a woman." And he was
Oh,
like, "Well, no, that's not a definition." He said, like, what is it like? You
yeah.
know, what's
Webster's dictionary
uh,
says a woman is.
she kept saying it's someone who feels like a woman, and it's like, okay, you could all after a few times of that, you could see that she was getting bewildered because she's like, like I'd have to say what he's wanting me to in
She
order to
took too
define a
much of the
woman,
Kool-Aid.
right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it was this like you're supposed to be in a college getting a higher education, and you are making yourself look really.
I'll tell you.
I said it about that one justice. I don't,
Yeah.
the one justice that we have could not answer a simple question about the the definition. I mean, the definition of a woman, or and it's like, guys, man, like it starts
This
with
is
simple.
basic
Like,
biology here,
okay,
folks.
you may Sean. I understand that you may feel like a woman some days, right? But I'm just here to tell you that you're not. Okay, you can feel that way, like
How dare
go ahead.
you?
Yeah, but you're not, and
Yeah.
it just
I
I'm
feel
sorry.
like a woman.
Yeah, it's like, and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with telling people the truth, man. You're hurting them more by saying, "Oh, well, because you
Well,
feel like a woman, you're a woman." Oh, horse
yes, you
crap.
are. And again, let's go back to how things are a changing, and it seems for the worst. And we
Yeah.
talked about the laws first, and now I'll talk about mental health. When I was taking them courses to, like, you know what I mean, learn and do counseling and stuff, gender dysphoria, so the DSM, so the what they list all the mental health conditions in. Gender dysphoria has been something going on for a long time, and that is in the medical textbook, literally defined as a man or a woman who feels like they are in the opposite body. And there's a whole description below that. And they know all the statistics. They know we're talking, like, I'm not saying like this came out like yesterday. This came out like in the 60s, 50s, those kind of time eras, right? And they've researched it, they've gone into it, and then somewhere along the line, they switched it to gender identity. It's the same thing. And now, if you're a doctor who, is a legal doctor, you're supposed to know these things, and you take an oath to do no harm. Yet you've engaged in this kind of behavior, doing all sorts of things that you absolutely know, and we have been able to prove and are continuing to prove. I mean, again, there was another, person from that demographic that just, did another horrific thing down your guys' way, right? So, like, it's not a good thing. It's got to stop being endorsed, because what happens is that it's not a thing, again, like you say, about feelings. Well, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. No, you're doing something way worse. What you're doing is you're enabling them, and you're enabling them to put themselves into this situation because there's a real issue that's underneath of there. And you're not going to fix it by removing body parts or being a part of a certain group. Like, it's just like anything, man. It's like, take addiction. You ain't going to fix it by sitting in the dope house all day getting dope from the dope man. You know what I mean? Like, you got to figure it out. Sometimes it's harder than others, and I hope that it's not.
And sometimes it takes somebody just telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is a problem that maybe we can work on, but until you accept that it's a problem, you're going to be stuck.
Stop thinking you're fooling everyone. See, that was the biggest thing with addiction. It's like when you're full blown in addiction, it's you think you got it. You know what I mean? That it does an incredible thing to your brain where you think, hey, nobody even knows what's happening. And then 4, 5, 6 years into it, somebody finally says something to you, and you're like, oh, the jig is up, right? Now people know. Now, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to do something about it? Am I going to try? Well, okay, that's one of the first stepping stones. But if I don't do that, if I don't have somebody come to me and I can't do it for myself because, frankly, I believe that this is the best thing going since sliced bread, why would I change? Right?
I mean, it was, and maybe if you truly do have a problem, maybe nobody has directly showed you that you have a problem. Maybe it takes that doctor saying, hey, look, there really is a name for this. There really is an issue with this, and there is ways for me to help you. Let me show you. And there could be there is some, I'm not saying with everybody, but there is some cases that's been revealed over time and over studies that some of these people that felt that way, that they may have had hormonal imbalances that were
Mhm.
chemical in their, you know, that was something that they could have been given and then felt normal. And it's
Yep.
sad to think that maybe these young people might have mutilated their body or had someone else mutilate their body because of an emotion they had that wasn't even real, that they needed something outside help. They needed a doctor to say, hey, we found a terrible hormone imbalance, and this is probably
Yep.
what you're it like. And there's been case, like I told you with my
Tons
sister,
of it.
man,
Yep.
her whole seizure disorder is based around one vitamin, one
Mhm.
vitamin
Mhm.
deficiency. And
Mhm.
without that vitamin, she will have seizures until she died. My mom and dad lost a baby in 22 days from
Mhm.
seizure after seizure after seizure. And it needed one medicine to stop it. And it wasn't even medicine, it was a vitamin B complex deficiency called paradoxine dependency.
Yep.
That one vitamin was the difference between my sister and my other sister who's dead now, living and dying, was that
Yep.
one vitamin. So you can't tell this guy that it couldn't be one little thing that could be making your brain feel that way that
No.
isn't natural. Now, I'm not
No.
saying there are instances where maybe okay, that
There's
happens.
always gonna be the, percentage that don't, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that small, tiny, like decimal demographic that will be there. But what is like shocking and appalling to me about this particular subject is that there was over 60, 70 years worth of science in on this subject before this whole active campaign of, oh, you are whatever you want to be. You know what I mean? And it's like, no,
And these parents
no,
doing that for
that's
their
just
kids,
adding to
that's
more
child abuse, man.
disassociation. Yeah, it's
It's
100%
child
it is.
abuse, man. I
100%
mean,
it is.
you're confusing that poor little child right out the rip, and it just makes you wanna just ugh. That's the part for, those of us that are parents, and you're trying your best to figure out the right way to teach them, the right way to show them things, the right way to introduce them to the world in some ways. In some ways, you have no control over their introduction to the world because of technology. But it's just it's so sad to think that we have parents out there that are allowing their kids to suffer like that from things that's wrong and playing into the very thing that's wrong. Like condoning their like it's okay that we're
Well,
having issues, but it's not okay that we're going to buy in and say, okay, well, at 7 years old you can make this decision for yourself, honey.
no.
Okay, you don't want your penis anymore. Okay, you can go tell your pediatrician that you don't want that no more because you feel like a little girl and mommy agrees with you. That's abuse, man.
And what's
That's
what's
abuse,
more
man.
horrific to me is like even that is absolutely terrible. Don't get me wrong, but the thing that really grinds my gears is the parents who are outspoken against it and
Yeah.
how they become chastised. How they're like, there's people up here that have been arrested because they're, sexual education class in grade 2, taught them that both boys and girls have the same upper top, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And they had diagrams the whole nine, and one father went in, saying like this is not appropriate, and he was right. It's not appropriate to be. It's inaccurate for one.
Yeah, it is.
The second part of it is that his, I believe, son had, went and talked to the guidance counselor, being confused, like literally. And you're what, grade 3? What are you, 8 years old, 9 years
8,
old?
9, something like that,
Something
yeah.
you don't know nothing about this kind of stuff. Like you probably ain't even thought about it yet,
And
and now
shouldn't even want to.
and you shouldn't. Yeah, and then you have this person who like is your role model, your teacher, your leader, whatever you want to call them, telling you this information. Yeah, I would suspect if you had an active thought in your head, you would be confused. Now, the kid goes to the guidance counselor, starts to talk about their confusion, and then that guidance counselor starts to talk about more of this ideology. Father refuses it. Father gets arrested. Kid gets taken by Child Protective Services. Now, who's winning in that situation?
Mm.
Like, how, like, I just, it's enough. It's enough. We got to do better than this.
Indeed we do. Indeed we do. Hey, shout out to everybody who's been here, brother Gen X. I see
Yeah,
you. Real
appreciate
Outdoor
you.
Living. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys, man. Let's see, I'm missing some. Miss Millie, I see you. Miss Liliana, thank you. Mila de la Prida, thank you for being here. Appreciate
Yeah,
you. Witchy Trista and Mama Melissa Bandy.
yep.
Yeah, that dude
Thank you
was
guys.
20. The dude they caught was 22 years old. He's an old
22.
dude. Yeah. But yeah, man, good
Wow.
conversation around
Yep.
Charlie Kirk. Rest in peace, my fellow
Absolutely.
brother.
For
I think that the one thing that his family can for surely embrace in the future after they get over this initial shock is that their husband, their dad, their brother, their son, whomever he might have been to them, their friend, the one voice that they took from him out of his body,
yep.
they just amplified it by millions and others that are not necessarily super supporters of everything he did, but super supportive of the work he was putting in and the effort behind what he was doing. And the fact that, man, for 31 years old, guys,
He did
man,
a lot. He
he
lived a
sure
lot.
did do. I mean, it
Yeah,
sure did seem like a life of work, man.
and I think something that he would say, like if he could, is that don't let them keep you down. Don't let this be something that scares you away from what you believe in or from what you need to say, because this is where we need to steadfast.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Keep going. Don't
Yeah.
be
Do not
silenced.
back down. Do not let them back you down. That's what this game is about, man.
Keep making your public appearances, keep doing your stuff. I know that sometimes it may be scary, but that's the way that you prove that, man, you're not gonna take
No,
you're not gonna take that part of my freedom from me. You're not gonna do that.
no.
Not through fear, not through that kind of
Oh
of
no, no.
of
And
fear.
if you're gonna try and get it at all this time, as I've lost it a few times, trust me, I'm prepared for this round. You know what I mean? It's not. I'm not going down. Just no, no. Nobody
Yeah.
should.
No, indeed not.
Yep.
Indeed not. Well, guys, it's coming up on the 1 o'clock hour. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate y'all being here. This is Guy and Shine, 11 to 1, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Eastern Standard Time. Always good vibes, my friends. We appreciate y'all. This is a little song that at Tommy Kenyon wrote, uh, called Run. And we just appreciate y'all being here. So y'all have a great
Thank you
afternoon.
all. Have a great weekend.
Got a fire in my soul, yeah, it's burning bright. Guy Bandy told me just to follow the light. Well, I heard the people singing with all their might. So I hit the ground running, and I ran all night. And we sang, run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. Well, I ran into my family, and I ran into my friends, and I ran into people that I didn't know then. And I said to them, hey, I could use a hand. And then I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran. And we sang, run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. Run, 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 run. They say it's dangerous out there, but not if we're all here. If we're together, we can run without fear. They say it's dangerous out there, but not if we're all here. If we're together, we can run without fear. Well, the children and the elders and the strangers and the neighbors and the doctors and the teachers and the farmers and the bakers and the scientists and builders and the singers and the players and the buskers and the dancers and the dreamers and the painters and the coaches and the helpers and the artists and creators and the yogis and the healers and the preachers and the changers and the people and the planet and the forests and the rivers and the mountains and the oceans and the future and the vision. And the buskers and the patience and the future and the vision. Run, 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 run.